Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Just Two Brothers podcast, where we will be sharing our journey so far and some of the simple tactics we've learned that have helped us become great leaders. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Just Two Brothers podcast. What are you talking about this week, Joe?
We're going to go over what we do and I guess how we got into the positions that we're in at our current employers.
Yeah, so everybody can understand how we use some of the things we discuss and where it comes from.
Yeah. More in depth of our background.
Right.
As far as our day-to-day lives now and how we got to where we are, I guess.
Yep.
So, you want to start?
Sure. I know in the first episode it was our nice to meet you episode. We talked a lot about our work experience, but I don't think we got into depth of like what experience each of us has. So nobody really knows what knowledge we have to be able to talk about the things we talk about. So I wanted to expand a little bit on the automotive place I just worked at and the furniture place I worked at previously, and just go into a little more detail as far as the tools that I'm familiar with and different metrics for tracking improvements. Currently, I'm working for a smaller furniture company. We do restaurant fixtures, walls, service desks, booths, stuff like that. My title is CAD CAM specialist, so I do 2D, 3D modeling and all of the programming for our 3-axis 5x12 CNC. Now we cut cabinet parts, wall parts. I do all the programming for that, and then I have somebody who runs the CNC that I kind of do all the scheduling for. So we are involved in morning meetings with the plant manager and the operations manager. It's just us three, and we talk about the schedules. So as far as how I'm involved with leadership currently, it's not directly. I do have kind of one person that works with me, for me, however you want to describe it. So I do have to lead him, and then I am able to give my input and feedback as far as shop flow and improvements and things like that as well. And we're all pretty good about sharing ideas and trying to move towards one singular goal. And we all pretty much have the same idea of what a successful business looks like. So we're all working towards the same thing. And it's nice to be able to use my previous experience as well as the engineering side. So I can still do all the leadership stuff, all the 5S and lean manufacturing experience I have. I can still bring that in and help with my previous experience there, but I also get to do some of the programming and engineering stuff that I enjoy as well. So it's nice to kind of be double dipping right now. At the automotive place I worked at, I was production supervisor. So we had our teams ranged anywhere from 15 people up to 30 at different times. And depending on my area varied quite often. I was given different departments to look over, moved around to different shifts. split shifts, all kinds of different stuff. So I had multiple different teams at points in time. And our teams consisted of team leads, and then each team lead had their own kind of mini team of anywhere from 4 or 5 people all the way up to 7, 8, maybe 10 people. Towards the end of my time at that place, we were running a system similar to the Toyota production system. And the metrics we used were all based on that. It was just this company's spinoff of that system. So we had to track all our KPIs like OEE, labor efficiency, downtime, all of that kind of stuff. We had to have open issue boards. We had different 5S measurements. We had employee suggestions that came in. We had to track all of that and track which ones got used, which ones didn't. We had to track how it improved efficiency and all of that kind of stuff. So all of that was tracked at this team lead level. And then each of us supervisors had another board that we reported to with our bosses, our production managers, that we had KPIs up there that we had to report, like whichever metric was lacking the most for our department is what had to be tracked at that level. So each individual team had their metrics that they were tracking, and then we had certain ones that were important at that level. Everybody was the same. They all went after the same types of things. At my level, we had different metrics that were critical for each separate leader. And it could be labor efficiency, it could be a specific machine's efficiency, it could be maybe it was labor retention, because we've had times where it was a lot of turnover. So there were all kinds of different metrics that were tracked up at my level, and that was pulled together from the entire team. So you had to work with your team leads to get the information you needed in order to do your reporting every day. So I had certain rounds and like routines that I had to stick to in order to make sure I went and grabbed all the necessary information each morning. Each team had their own meeting, they had stretches, and then they went through with their teams all these different metrics and did suggestions and stuff like that. And then, went back to their work for the day. But so then I had individual time with my team leads for coaching and development. I had certain things that each team leader had different goals that they wanted to work on. And then I had goals for them. So we would meet to make sure we were all working towards those goals. And then the same thing for me. I had my own goals, and my boss had goals for me that needed to be worked towards and different things that needed to be done. So we met one-on-one to take care of that kind of stuff. So I've gotten a lot of experience with the Toyota type production system and the different tools and tricks that go into that, all the different problem solving. I mean, when we first started, they used countermeasure worksheets, and they called A3s, which was just a giant page of a countermeasure that people worked through, but it was the entire process for root cause analysis, and basically is what they used for that. And we got into, I'm trying to remember what they were called now. 8Ds, that's what it was. When they had some kind of a customer rejection, or we had to pick one problem each quarter that needed to be on an 8D that we were going to work through. And there was all these different boxes on this giant, like poster board size sheet of paper. And it was just different prompts to get you to work through this entire problem and figure out what the actual root cause of it was, rather than just kind of scratching the surface. It made you dig deeper into the problem. So I've got quite a bit of experience with that problem solving. as well. In the past, I've used fishbone diagrams, and different tools like that to be able to dig deeper than just surface. All of these different tools are provided to you or help you dig deeper into the problem because you're forced to ask why more than just once. You can ask why one time and come up with any bullshit answer and think it solves your problem, but till you keep going at it to really dig into it, you don't know what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these different tools help you dig that much deeper into it. We had to do different reports on that, and we met with our boss to go over stuff like that, which then translated to us teaching that to our teams, and so on and so on. I loved all of that. That's how I got to the point where I came to you one day and said, hey, I think we got to do something with this leadership thing because we both have quite a bit of life experience for as young as we are. We've gone through a lot, learned a lot quickly. And then on top of our background with working, we have a lot of experiences that we can share with people that I think can help. So I've talked about the problem solving, some of the metrics that I've used at the automotive manufacturing place. Each of our work centers had computers and I guess screens tied into the machines. And you know probably a lot about this, the production type of screens where they're displaying the different metrics and cycle times and efficiencies and how many parts per hour certain machines are supposed to be hitting and how far behind per hour they are. So we had those screens on every single one of our machines. Have to make my rounds to go check on all of that and check in with my teams to see what was going on and, hey, why are you having these issues? That turned into us having hour by hour charts at our machines. They were these big giant magnetic whiteboards on wheels that was parked at each one of the machines. So the teams, as they were running throughout the day, if they're keeping up with their cycle times and they're hitting their parts per hour, it's green, green, green. Okay, everything's all good. As I make my rounds, if I see, oh, here's some red, 1 hour, okay, no big deal. We got 2 or 3 hours in a row. All right, what's going on here? Is there something I can do to help? Then figuring out if there was a machine issue, what support staff needed to be contacted, if how that support was going, what the actual issue was, so on and so on. So I have a lot of experience with the problem solving. I enjoy the problem solving side of leadership, helping people find solutions to not only their problems, but also I find the machine problem solving interesting too. I know I annoy the hell out of people, engineers, support staff, whoever's working on the equipment when I'm asking, why are you doing that? What's going on here? But I'm not doing it to be an ass. I'm doing it because I'm genuinely interested in it, and that kind of stuff excites me. Not to mention when I am leading over that stuff, I need to understand the process. I need to know what they have to do to fix these things. I need to know what happened to cause that problem so maybe I can help prevent it in the future or know what to be looking out for next time. So, oh, this happened. Okay, I already know what the problem is. I know how long it's going to be down. I can store that information for later. So there's tons of different ways that problem solving helps me. And I think that's why I find it so interesting because just a couple questions, you can learn so much.
And it's so important to know what the hell you're talking about when it comes to the machines you're trying to run.
Exactly. You can't just glaze over and not give a shit because you're going to deal with it again.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
How much downtime have you seen caused simply because you didn't know something was happening the way it was working the way it was supposed to, you just weren't aware of it, or somebody wasn't aware of it? It's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, but you have issues because somebody else is doing something wrong, but things are working the way that they're supposed to. Or something along those, like you just, because you didn't have an understanding of it, or...
So I know There hasn't been many areas I haven't gone into because I ask so many questions. I can't help but find things out. So any new area I've ever gone into, it's never running the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been handed any diamond. It's always been a pile of shit that I have to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just start asking why all the time. What's going on? What's causing this? And most of the time it's just, well, this is just the way it's been. And then somebody new takes over and, well, this is just the way it's been. And so nobody ever fixes it because that
just keeps getting passed off.
Yeah, somebody tried to get it fixed at one point. It was brushed off because somebody didn't take it seriously. They didn't follow through. God only knows what it might be.
Low priority at the time,
Right.
or whatever.
It got forgotten about, but they got sick of asking for help and they stopped and it got forgotten about completely. And so now it's just the way it is. And that, most of the time, that's been the problem. Like, well, we've been telling them that for years, but they just didn't care. Like, are you kidding me? This is all I have to do to make this thing run that much better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm going to go be a bully for a minute and get this done. Like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks for everybody that we have to do this and that it could have been better this whole time, but whatever. We can't cry about it. Let's just get it done.
Right.
Yep, I'm going to be a dick about it now until we get it fixed. Sorry, that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, that's what it is. Or somebody's just not asking the right questions. That's the other big thing. You have to dig deeper than just surface. Make sure there's not more problems. Even if they found something that is causing your problem, could there be something else that led to that? Are you done asking that question yet? There's a lot that problem solving has taught me and how it can be applied to a lot more than what you just bring back to that drawing board and say, hey, we need to do a fishbone or whatever on this problem because I need to understand it. No, you should be doing that on a regular basis, digging deeper than just surface value.
Yeah, because you should only stop asking the question why when you come to a solution. You find
when you can no longer answer that question anymore. When you can't provide an answer, like, yeah, there's no other possibility. Make sure you've checked off all the possibilities. That problem solving has taught me to make sure to pay a lot more attention to that. But yeah, the automotive place gave me a lot of experience with the Toyota type production system and the metrics and different problem solvings that go into that entire system, along with the 5S. Some places call it 6S. 6S, not success. But yeah, that's just the cleanliness system, and I like that. A lot of people struggle with that one because it changes how their life is currently. Toolboxes have to be set up and labeled, and all your supplies need to have a spot, and everything needs to go to one specific spot. But once you embrace it and just do it and find out how easy it is, because now you don't have to go look for that tool for 20 minutes every single time because where did I put it? Who borrowed it? No, if everybody has everything that they need, nobody's going to borrow anybody's tools. And then you're putting it right back where it came from. You know it's going to be there every single time in that same exact spot. No more trying to remember where it is. Now it's just habit for you. And you don't misplace it. You don't put it in the wrong spot or change where you put it. No, it has a home. I really like 5S and tried to do that more at home with certain things. I might not label it at home, but I have certain things laid out certain ways, and okay, nope, this has to go back there. And when something's missing, I go, okay, where did I leave this or who borrowed it? So I can go find it and make sure it gets back. So I've used 5S at home.
And I've done that with my toolbox everywhere. Like I
Exactly.
know where everything in my toolbox is. I know
Exactly.
where it belongs. If it's not there, I know I got to find it.
Yep. I just got to make sure I'm not too lazy and put everything back when I'm done with it. I have no problem with it at work. Don't know
either.
why.
At home, because you're not getting paid for it.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just too easy to set it down and say, all right, when I go outside, I'll take that with me or whatever.
I'll deal with this later.
Yeah.
I got other stuff to move on to. But when you're at work, it's like, well, it's part of the job, so I took care of this.
I guess,
now
yeah.
I'm going to put everything away before
if
I
I
move
go
on
borrow
to it.
somebody something, as soon as I'm done with it, I walk it back over and I give it back to them, and or I put whatever tool it is right back where it came from. I don't know why, but once I get home, it's a lot easier to just say, yeah, I'll go take care of this in a minute. And then a minute turns into a couple of days.
That's how working on cars goes. I take all the tools out, and then I usually bring them in a box, and then they get set down and then put away later on.
Yep, exactly.
Or when I need them.
So yeah, 5S is something else I've learned and know quite a bit about. Started to pick that up at the furniture company I worked at before that. They started pushing me towards this lean manufacturing. They were more involved with Six Sigma. Never really got into that. Looked at taking some classes, getting some belts, but didn't pursue that. We were also looking, that was through a couple different colleges, taking some of their lean manufacturing courses. Didn't realize it at that time how little I knew about all of that until I got to the automotive place. I was like, oh, I got immersed in it. And so I learned a lot at the automotive place about the systems specifically. At the furniture place, I guess you could say I got more of my leadership training there, my refinement there, pulled out of, because before that I was at my own company, and so it was kind of a free for all. And then furniture place, I had structure and I had a boss, so I got refined there and reeled in a little bit, not completely, because I still struggled with my outbursts, but they helped rein me in some, and I got a lot of people experience at the furniture place. That was a company of 70 people, I think, when I was running the floor. We had 2 shifts, and I was essentially production leader, they called it, but I had to run both shifts. There was another leader on second shift, but he kind of reported to me. He didn't, but I had to give him all the direction for the next day or that night, whatever. Everything was based off of my direction, so I essentially ran the entire production floor. I guess you would consider it production manager at that point, but they wouldn't acknowledge that, nor would they pay me for that. I was also involved with engineering because like I had mentioned in the first episode, I started on the floor building stuff, moved into engineering there. But when I took over leading on the floor, I was still the only one with knowledge about one of their specific programs, and they never got anybody to take that from me. They tried, but nobody could figure it out. Nobody liked it, so I just continued to get stuck with it. So while I was doing the leader, I was still doing engineering for this program. I had to do all the cut lists, all the drawing for it, and get it released to the floor on time before it had to start getting worked on. That was on top of running the entire production floor for both shifts. And that was 1, 2, 3 CNCs, one gigantic computerized saw. We had a sanding department, a Corian department, a finish department, a cabinet building department, a kind of custom table department, a custom cabinet and reception desk department. We had a contour banding department, and we had a shipping department. And I ran all of that, 70 people between all of it. And that ranged anywhere from high school kids to I had people in their 60s and 70s that worked for me. And at, what was I, 29, 30 when I took that over, there's not a lot of respect for somebody 30 years old. You don't know anything. Granted, I did, especially about that industry, because I just came from running my business where I did everything. So there's not much I didn't know. And I'm the type of person that has no problem admitting when I don't know something. Please teach me about it.
Yep.
So yeah, it was easy for me to gain respect, but it's always initially hard because everybody's like kind of defensive, like who the hell is this kid to tell me what to do? He doesn't know anything until I start to prove to them that one, I do, and two, I will listen and learn. People like when you can shut your mouth and listen and learn.
Yes.
So yeah, at the furniture place, I got a lot more of the people experience. Like I said, 70 people. I did that for like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. 2 rounds of reviews. I mean, that's a lot of reviews to do for people. I think one of the years I had 45 or 50, and the other year I had like 63 reviews I had to do by myself. So that's a
lot of work.
A lot of work, and I can't give shitty feedback. I value reviews. I try to interact with people on a daily basis as it is, and that was taught to me from when I had my own business and my partner, and just, I don't know if we just got that close because it was just a couple of us and maybe the couple of people we had working for us. So we talked every day, and I like that, and I've just always carried that with me. But I just always talk to people. I'll spend the extra couple of minutes to shoot the shit with somebody because I need to. Yep, it's going to put me behind for something else, but I don't care. If I have to hurry, I don't mean to cut this short, but I got to get moving. But I'm at least going to spend a little bit of time with that person. And I got to use that there, and I've carried that on forever.
And that makes your employees feel valued and heard as well.
Yeah, you're more personable to them, and
right.
they're not so terrified and intimidated of you. And then once you have that respect, it's not you commanding them to do anything. They want to do things for you. You're on their team.
Your leadership influence should not be one out of intimidation
and fear. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, you want it out of a mutual respect.
Correct.
They know you're just doing your job. When you tell them, hey, I need this done, you're only doing it because you have to. They know that's your job. They respect you to just say, yep. They know it. Yep, it sucks. Hey, sorry. Like we've said before. But because of that respect, because you're having those conversations and getting to know people on somewhat of a personal level, you have to get to have those relationships with people.
Right.
And it's nice to not just be unhappy and miserable all day, every day. You're around these people a lot. You may as well get to know them a little bit.
Yeah, and if it doesn't take you more than 3 to 5 minutes to have a quick conversation with somebody and be personable with
You're not going to be able to talk to everybody every single day.
You only have things to gain from that.
Right.
I mean, even if it's value, you can get valuable information from people.
Yeah.
Just by a quick conversation.
Yep.
Information you didn't expect to get.
Exactly.
But it can be very helpful and beneficial information.
Exactly.
So.
But yeah, like I said, that's where I got a lot of people experience and how to deal with problems and having to deal with problems. I mean, firing people, hiring people, doing reviews. That was the first time I had to hold my own formal review and give that to somebody. And like when you have to do 40, 50, 60, 70 of them, you get a lot of experience quick. And all by yourself, yeah, that's a lot of work. And like I said, I take those seriously. So it took me a lot of time to get that stuff done.
You're
And
comfortable with doing them by the time you're done with 50
oh
or
yeah,
60 of them,
oh yeah,
aren't you?
absolutely. And to this day, I have no problem with reviews, and I hate doing them because they're so time consuming, but I like sitting down with that person and giving them honest feedback. I have had so many people, even if I give them, I guess you could say, a bad review or point out some bad things that they need to work on, they thank me. They thank me at the end of a review.
You know how many reviews I've gone into and wished somebody would just have give me something to work on. Don't tell me you're doing great. We're happy with what you're doing. That's you can give me that in passing any
Yeah.
day. Any day of the week. This is the entire year you're giving me a review. Give me something
Right.
to work on.
Right.
This is a 100% a review. Give me something.
Yeah.
I've hated that shit. Don't tell me I can hear him doing great any day I want.
Yeah.
Tell me
I had
I'm
one
doing
guy
something wrong.
that it was not a good review. He didn't get a raise because of it, and it just was bad. Like he fucked off, and I called him out on it, and it took like 2 months. And he came out to me one day. He's like, "Hey man, I just want to thank you." I said, "For what?" He's like, "At first, I was pissed. I hated the fact that you said all that shit and I wasn't getting a raise because of you." And he said, "And then I thought about it and I realized it wasn't you at all. It was me, and I needed to hear that. And I didn't realize how bad I was fucking up until you called me on it." He said, "So thank you."
Yeah, some people just need a
Right.
slap
And
in
I
the
wasn't
face.
trying to be mean, but I had a lot of good things to say in his review because I make sure to do that too. There's got to be a balance. I can't just berate somebody in their review because not everybody,
Sandwich
if they're that bad, they shouldn't be working for you.
Right. If you only have negative things to say to
Exactly.
them,
There's no reason that person
it should
should
be an
working
exit
for you.
interview, not
Exactly. There's got to be some good things that you can say about them too. There's going to be.
Yeah.
Everybody has their good points, and they may have more negative than positive, but you can find some good things to say about them too, just to keep that complete attack off of there.
Right.
But I value reviews, and I take my time and I put thought into what I say, and I make sure I give valuable feedback, whether it's good or bad. I make sure people get something from it. So that takes me time. I got a lot of experience with reviews and feedback and how to deal with issues, how to deal with people. Oh, there's a lot of different drama that can happen in that many people. And then they may not be part of my team, or I may not be leading them, but I had to interact with everybody in the office. So I've got engineers and purchasing staff and the president and CFO and everybody that I'm interacting with, and I have to be able to manage all of that too. So that started at the furniture company and then moved on through the automotive company as well, and I'm still doing all of that where I'm at now. But yeah, I guess that gives a little more in-depth look as to what type of experience I have and what I've dealt with. And I know I don't talk about specific situations, but that's what this platform's for, so we can continue to dig deeper into some of those more personal stories and precise situations. And we'll continue to expand on those as we go. But I at least wanted to give a little more insight into what my background is.
Make sure you tune in next week to continue this conversation where Ryan and I discuss a little bit more into detail about my background. And as always, follow us on social media at Just Two Brothers Podcast and subscribe anywhere you listen to this podcast. Thank you for listening.